Hey everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 398, getting real close to 400 episodes. Today is the 29th of June, 2022, and we're going to say hello to the guys before we get into the questions. I know I wasn't here last week, which caused the lightning storm, which took down Hump Day Hangouts, so I really apologize for that. But I think we're going to get a chance to go back and cover some of the questions that weren't able to get to last week. So starting with Chris, how you doing today, man?
Yeah, pretty sweaty here, like 95 degrees here. I don't know, like it's one day after the other, like I can't handle it at the moment. Brain fog deluxe. And yeah, like as you mentioned it, we cannot do Hump Day Hangouts with you. Like we just need you, otherwise the whole thing goes down.
I'm the electrician. Yeah, I don't know. Oh my God. Bradley, how you doing today?
Good, man. Busy, but good. Things are good. Life is good. Work is good. Business is good. The economy sucks, but as long as the money's coming in, I'm
economy
okay.
Sucks, man.
I'm okay.
We create our own economy. Didn't you learn from Kennedy?
Tofu, yeah. Well, I wanted to say something about what's coming up soon, because here in the U.S., if you're watching us from the U.S. or you're aware of it, 4th of July is coming up. We got some good stuff going on with 4th of July, but you've got to be on the email list to be notified about this stuff. That said, yeah, you might be able to catch a Hump Day Hangout and catch it in time. You might hear us mention it, but if you want to know where that's going to be, what it's all going to be about, now is the time to hop on the email list if you're not already on the Semantic Mastery email list. And not only do we send stuff out like this, but we also do a weekly informational email as well, taking one of the questions from Hump Day Hangouts that we think really, has some great widespread information, or maybe a lot of people have asked us about. And we post that up along with some kind of context around that. So it's a good way to get a lot of information, stay up to date, find out about cool stuff like the 4th of July as well. And if you are not on the email list, how do you join it? Well, you can go over to semanticmastery.com/HDHO and scroll to the bottom and put in your name and email for keep me up to date and notify me of future Hump Day Hangouts. And we will also be sure to let you know about the 4th of July specials. So highly recommend doing that. What else, guys? I think I had something about the mastermind I wanted to say. Bradley, I know you just finished up some stuff with Flowster, but I believe the process or the SOPs were still being cranked out, right?
Yeah, I'm still got two more in the series of 7 SOPs to do. Yeah, the first 5 are done though, and that's fine because the next 2 are dealing with what happens when a prospect or somebody that you reach out to replies, and it'll take a month for somebody to, I suggest budgeting a month. I could probably done sooner, but anyways, to go through the first kind of 5 SOPs to get everything set up, to learn the system, to build it all. And then you have to also warm up email addresses and or IPs before cold emailing. So that's something that it's recommended to do for a minimum of 3 weeks, but more likely a month, or better would be a month. So the whole point is that's one of the first things I cover in the SOPs is getting the email, getting your cold sending domains purchased, set up properly with all the correct email records, SPF, DKIM, DMARC, all that kind of stuff. And then adding them to a warming service so that they can be warming up while you're building the directory and the prospecting machine in high level and all of that. So the whole point I'm trying to say is I've got 2 more SOPs left to do that I'm working on, which are what to do once the system's built and you start generating leads and getting leads into your pipeline, your funnel. And so that's kind of what should be done within, the next one, which is the lead processing SOP, should be done within the next probably 2 weeks. And then the one after that is the video email, which is very much what I covered in the video lead gen system, but kind of a more updated version. I found some ways to streamline that a little bit further. And I want to make a full SOP from that so that we can actually hire that part of it out. The sending the video emails. I've been the bottleneck in my own agency because of the video emails. It's a great strategy, but it does require time. And I don't want to be the bottleneck anymore, nor do I expect any of you guys to be either. So I want to develop an SOP so that can be hired out. You go find some talent that can speak well, that can do those screencast recordings and produce custom video emails for the prospecting part, and do it very inexpensively. So that's kind of the last SOP that will be developed for this process or this system. And that should be done within about a month or so, but that's going to really make everything a lot more effective for everybody because they'll be able to, I mean, they can do it. You can do it yourself if you want, and that might be where you want to start. But the point is you'll get to a point because this system works so well. You'll have so many damn leads in your pipeline that it'll become almost overwhelming trying to take care of do the videos yourself. And that's where I recommend. And also, like I said, I want to have that for my own agency to where I hire that out. So if I have really well detailed SOPs, you can certainly train somebody to do this effectively. And that's kind of the last one that will be developed. Again, hopefully within the next 3 to 4 weeks, that'll be done.
Nice. Yeah. And if this stuff sounds good to you, joining the mastermind is the place to get that stuff. You can find out more at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. I think one of the biggest benefits, though, is the 1-minute video you'll get from yours truly when you join. I send you a personalized video, but if you like SOPs and making more money, and that's more important than a video for me, I get it. That's okay too. Now just got done sending one to Ivan. I think he's the latest mastermind member to join. I joke about the videos, but it is fun. It's a nice way for us to connect with you and help you with onboarding into the mastermind. So if you're ready to join, want to kind of take your results up a notch, find out more at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. Cool, guys. Well, with that, anything else before we dive into the questions?
Yeah, people should probably subscribe to the YouTube channel.
No, just kidding.
You know why?
well, yeah, I know why, but why?
There might be another thing like coming through soon. Like we'll see.
Ooh. Well, definitely do. I mean, I highly encourage people to check it out. Go over to YouTube, search Semantic Mastery, click subscribe. Not only because we like subscribers and makes us feel good, but you'll also keep up to date. And if you miss Hump Day Hangouts, like we get it. We enjoy this. We've been doing this for years, same time, but things come up. You may have a client call, you've got something to do, and you may forget, or you asked a question and you weren't able to attend live. That's fine. Subscribe to YouTube and you'll get notified of updates as well as all the other good content that we put up. Cool.
Okay.
All right, guys.
I've got a brief part of the presentation that I've been doing weekly. We got taken out last week though by the weather. Yeah. So again, this I'm very briefly, I just kind of set the stage for those of you that have not seen the previous couple of webinars or Hump Day Hangouts. The whole directory authority positioning model that I've created and developed is, we're going to be, once I finish the last 2 SOPs, we're going to kind of do some marketing around that and promote that as a business in a box system, at least to help you grow a local SEO agency, to even start one if you don't already have one. And so I've got each week I've been trying to do about a 10-minute presentation at the beginning of these, kind of to lead up to that point when we have it fully packaged up and ready to go. So where we left off a couple of weeks ago was we started with, and you know what, I'll just recap very quickly. We'll go through each one of these slides very quickly just to recap. And what I want to talk about today is like what type of services to offer as a local marketing agency, but more specifically as a local SEO agency. And I'm going to, give you what my suggestions are and some other alternative services too. So let's get into that real quick, and then we can jump into questions because we do have to make up for last week. So we do have quite a few questions. So with that, I'm going to grab the screen and I'll try to keep this somewhat brief, guys, but I do want to be thorough about this. So a local SEO agency, guys, why do I think this is such a good time to be in local SEO? As I talked about before, this is a Google Trends screenshot that shows the search interest in the United States for these terms: SEO company, SEO agency, local SEO. You can see that this is definitely trending up. So the demand is increasing over time or the search interest is increasing, which indicates the demand is increasing. And you can see that it's a steady increase, that's a great thing. If you're going to pick a business to get into, you want to pick a business that either has steady demand over time or increasing demand over time. You certainly don't want to get into a business where it has decreasing demand over time, because that means a year from now, you're going to have a less pool of buyers to sell your service or your widgets or whatever to than you do today. And so that's why I think this is just a really, really good time to be in SEO. I think more and more local businesses are becoming aware of the importance of local SEO and Google Maps and that sort of thing. So I think this is just a really, really good time to be in local SEO. These are some of the stats that I pulled from the Bright Local Search local search survey from 2022. And some of the stats that I've talked about before is the local SEO services most commonly offered by local marketers, Google Business Optimization, content creation. So, what I'm getting at here, the important stat or figure here is that Google Business Profile Optimization is what is the service most commonly offered by local marketing companies, local marketers. And that's because it's also in the greatest demand. And that's precisely what we teach here at Semantic Mastery, right? Google Business Optimization, local SEO. That's basically all we teach. I mean, we teach some other kind of marketing principles and how to build and operate a business, but it's primarily focused around local SEO, which Google Business Optimization is one of the biggest parts of that, the biggest component of that. Okay, but there are some other services which we're going to talk about today. The metrics most valued by local businesses. This is the one slide that I had left out in previous webinar, or when I've covered this topic at the beginning of Hump Day Hangouts or the last couple of weeks, I had left this slide out. So I added it in because this is critically important. This actually was crazy to me. Like I did not expect this at all. But look at this. This is saying the metrics that are most valued by local businesses. And number one is Google local rankings. Number two is Google organic rankings. Number three is organic traffic. Number four is reviews. And then all the way down at number five is phone calls, leads. Like that's just insane to me. That just goes to show that there's a lot of ego involved in being a business owner. If you think about that, people are more concerned about their rankings than they are about the phone calls that they get, the number of phone calls that they get, the number of leads generated, which is insane because typically over the years, I have pitched rankings are, certainly a metric that we're going to track. But what's most important is the number of leads, the number of phone calls, and really your revenue. It's not even so much the number of leads, and I mean that's just a precursor to revenue, right? Is leads, is generating leads, but also closing those leads certainly. But what's interesting is it just goes to show you that like this is I don't know how big their sample size was. I'm sure that was listed in the survey, but I didn't memorize those stats, but that's insane. It's a pretty significant number of businesses that are, Google local rankings. So maps rankings, Google business profile ranking is more important than anything else, with Google organic rankings being number two, organic traffic being number three. What is the point in having traffic if it's not generating leads? So I really find this to be a bit, surprising that these are the most important metrics to a business owner, more so than phone calls and leads, but it is what it is. So why not use that? If we know that, then we can run with that, right? We can really push like local search grid rankings, results that we can get across a local search grid, organic rankings. And, who cares what the number of calls are generated, how many leads it generates? Apparently, I mean, certainly I do care because that's what we should do as marketing professionals, is also not only help people to get, or SEO professionals, not only help people to get better results with ranking, but also generate more leads and also optimize their kind of process for what to do when those leads are generated. That's more in the consulting side, but I always looked at working with my business, the businesses that I work with when I provide SEO services, is also like a business consultant, right? Like it's one thing to generate the leads. My job's done, right? I generated the lead. I got you ranked. I helped you I helped generate leads. My job's done. Well, not necessarily, because if they don't know how to convert those leads or follow up with those leads appropriately, and they lose that sale, then they're not generating more. They don't end up generating revenue. And so, yeah, they're getting better results. They're getting more leads, but if they're not converting those leads because their sales process sucks, their follow-up sucks, whatever the case may be, then it's likely that they're going to end up canceling services with me, because they're not going to have the revenue to support it. Does that make sense? So it's in our best interest as SEOs or marketing professionals to help them not only generate more leads or rank higher in Google, but what to do with those leads that do come in from ranking higher. And that is to kind of help to optimize their sales process if possible, and there's some technology that we can use to do that. For example, in my industry with tree care contractors or tree service contractors, just employing two things have really made a big difference in the contractors that I work with. Number one, I have the lead management app, which is built in high level. So I just sell sub accounts in my high level, account. that I force my lead buyers on the lead gen side of things to subscribe to for $100 a month. For my agency clients or traditional retainer clients, not all of them have it, but I do try to upsell them on that because it's a lead management app. It's a simple 5-stage pipeline that sends out notifications to the customers when, whenever they want to schedule an estimate, and then it sends out appointment reminders like scheduled estimate reminders or scheduled job reminders. It sends out reminders to reply back about proposals that were submitted for a job and things like that. So in other words, it's a 5-stage pipeline that helps my tree contractors to close more sales because it does automated follow-ups with contacts that have requested quotes or that have agreed to the proposal and then scheduled jobs. And then ultimately, when it goes to the job closed stage in that pipeline, which is stage 5, the 5th and final stage, then it also sends out a review request. So it also helps to build the reputation. So that's again, that's just some technology that I've been able to provide to my tree contractor clients that helps them to close more of the leads that I am able to provide for them because I've got better results for them in Google, if that makes sense. And then also another thing that I've been able to do with my tree contractors over the years is set up a call center for them. So an answering service, a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week answering service so that they don't have to be the ones answering the phones. And one of the biggest benefits, besides just having a live person actually answer the phone when prospects call in to request quotes for tree service jobs, is it screens spam calls. Having an answering service stops solicitation and spam calls from ever getting to the contractor to begin with. So they're not, answering the phone 100 times a day for robocalls and solicitation calls and voice, shitty recorded messages and that kind of stuff. And so again, those are a couple of things that I've done to be able to help contractors close more leads, which is really interesting, looking at that data stating that ranking is more important than calls. And maybe that's because they don't know what to do with the calls. I don't know. But that's on us to help. In my opinion, it's on us to help them to get better results. So the average monthly charge per client, and this is really interesting, but it's $1,500 a month, $1,557, so just over. And that's the average monthly retainer cost for local SEO. So that makes sense. That's what people are, the industry average across all different kinds of industries, different businesses. And that's in my industry that I work with, tree service contractors. They're usually smaller companies, not big organizations. So mine's about 1,000 actually is my average for retainer clients. And so I'm a little bit on the lower end of that, but I have onboard calls with any new mastermind member that comes in as part of, if you join the mastermind, you get a 30-minute Zoom call with me, a Zoom meeting. And so it's funny, but that's right in line with what I hear from most of my, most of our mastermind members, is that's a pretty standard so this is spot on is what I'm saying. $1,500 is about average for monthly retainer for Google Business SEO or local SEO services. All right. So I talked about how to start a local SEO agency a couple of weeks ago, and I spent quite a bit of time on this. So I'm not really going to go through this other than to just say, I'm going to hammer this over and over again. Every time you guys hear me talk about this, is niche down, specialize in a particular industry. And if the industry is still fairly broad, which a lot of industries are, pick a specialization within that industry and go all in on that. And guys, you can always offer your marketing services to a broader audience in that same industry. And I use this example over and over and again, but like, for example, I use tree services this time, but like tree service contractors, that is still kind of broad, but there are some specializations within the tree care industry that you can go into, which would be like arborist services, which arborist services are certified arborists. That's like tree inspections and, disease control, like for tree diseases and that kind of stuff. So those are that, or crane tree removal or stump grinding. Stump grinding is usually it's a lower margin type of service. So that's not one that I would recommend picking. It's not very competitive, but that's probably why it's not very competitive, because it has lower margins. But like crane tree removal, that's one of those like low volume, but high ticket services where don't generate a lot of leads for tree services that require cranes, like in big urban areas where there's a lot of high-rise buildings. You can't fell a tree, so you have to remove it in sections. It needs a crane. Also super big trees and things like that. That's a really high dollar service. Another one, land clearing for clearing a big piece of land for construction or development. That's another very specialized type of service within the tree service industry that fetches very, very high prices, talking about tens of thousands of dollars for one job, one contract. The volume's low, but very, very high. So those are like, again, that's way to specialize within a particular industry. Develop all of your marketing, all of your messaging to that one very specific service, and that's your in. My whole point that I'm trying to make here, guys, is by specializing like this, you really set yourself apart from all of the other competitors out there, the Me Too agencies and the generalist agencies that they get hit with and solicited to or by, dozens of times per week. Now, if you contact a tree service contractor that has crane tree removal as a service, and all of your messaging and everything is around that specific service, that's gonna set you apart, right? You can charge higher prices. And then the point is you can always offer the SEO services and marketing services for their broader menu of services or products, if that makes sense. So just another example would be like, again, I've talked about this before, but should I I've had mastermind members that are kind of doing the directory model that I developed come to me and say, well, I was thinking about getting the legal niche. Well, that's a very broad niche and it's uber competitive. So then I always recommend specializing in the legal niche. So let's say there's personal injury attorneys and bankruptcy attorneys, and then family law attorneys and immigration attorneys, right? There's all these different kinds of attorneys out there, corporate attorneys, all this kind of stuff, tax attorneys. But even that is still very broad. So like personal injury and personal injury law, there is motorcycle accidents, boat accidents, car accidents, workplace premise accidents, catastrophic injury accidents. There's all different types of specializations within the personal injury niche, if that makes sense. So again, focus in on something. It becomes much easier to build authority in that space when you are very specialized, like a boutique agency around that. That's not to say that you have to only do SEO services and generate leads in that one thing. That's just your in with that. Again, if you contact a personal injury attorney, they usually do practice all those different areas in personal injury law that I just described. But you're going to be much more likely to be able to develop authority if you target one very specific specialization within the personal injury niche. That's your in. Once you get in on that, then you can always offer SEO services to all of the personal injury specializations that they provide. Does that make sense? So again, just in my opinion, the best way to do it is to kind of specialize, niche down, or find a sub niche within a niche. And that becomes your primary kind of marketing message to market match, as Dan Kennedy would say, right? Stop prospecting, begin positioning. And that's the whole point. You position yourself as an authority or an expert when you niche down. And when I finally did that with my own agency, it really started to grow and became a lot easier, a lot less work too. So I spent more time on that slide than I wanted to, but again, this is just kind of recap from before. So this is also what local SEO services should you offer? And specifically SEO services, here are some that I've always, for the last couple of years now, since I specialize in tree care contractors, I've always come right out of the gate with Google Business SEO. That's just what I enjoy doing the most. So I've always just offered Google Business SEO, but that's sometimes a hard pill to swallow to come right out of the gate. My minimum bottom starting line for retainer clients, monthly SEO services for just Google Business SEO, not including optimizing and doing SEO for a self-hosted website, is $850 a month. And so coming right out of the gate at $850 a month to bring on clients, sometimes that's a tough sell, but reputation building could be, which is something that I'm going to be testing. As soon as I get these SOPs done, I'm going to start prospecting again very, very heavily for tree contractors. And I'm going to be testing reputation building services as the front end. So instead of Google Business SEO, Google Business SEO can be an upsell once I've established a relationship and shown some results on reputation building. And I'm willing to sell my reputation building services for $100 a month because I have it all built in the high level and it's basically zero work. It's just a matter of entering in customers' information whenever they whenever they complete a job. So for me, I can sell a $100 reputation building service for tree contractors, which is critical for it's critical for all local businesses. And then once I start to show them results, building up their reputation generally has a bit of an influence on local maps ranking, then I can always upsell them into Google Business SEO. Another one would be web design or on-page optimization. Again, niching down, you can develop 1 or 2 or 3 templates for one very specific industry. And then you have all your work done. All you got to do is swap out contact information and branding, and you've got templates that you can sell over and over and over again to the same businesses, just in different locations, right? The same business types, but just in different locations. So web design, on-page optimization is something. Content marketing, guys, and content marketing is very broad. Google business posts, blogging, press releases, for example. Those are 3 that I offer as part of my retainer services. For my services for my retainer clients. Video SEO. Video SEO is still something that can be done for local businesses. Not quite as easy as it used to be, but it can still be done. I've been doing a lot of testing recently with video stuff, which I haven't done video SEO for years. And more recently, I've started to get back into it again to overcome some of the issues with not being able to verify Google business listings unless you have a real valid business. So I'm trying to develop some ways to get around that are still effective at generating leads, and video SEO is a part of that. So that's again, another service can be offered. But besides SEO services, what other type of services can be offered? Well, here are some great local marketing services that, again, if you come in on as an SEO, local SEO, you can always broaden and offer more than just what your front end offer is. Just real quick, just to back up, and I know I'm going a little over, guys, but I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Choose one service to provide. Remember, you want one industry type, one target prospect, right? One service to provide. You want one type of message. That's what you want to go all in on that until you start getting results. You can make it work. That doesn't mean that you have to, that's the only service you can offer. That just means that's your front end. That's your lead, right? You lead with that. And whatever that may be, like I said, I've always done Google Business SEO as my lead, but I'm going to be switching to reputation building as my lead because I expect to see more sales, more conversions from that because it's much $100 a month. Tree contractors can do that all day long, right? That's an easy pill to swallow. And then I can always upsell them to Google Business SEO once I've developed a relationship. But what I'm saying is, again, you start with one service, but you can always broaden once you've secured that client to other services, upsell them or cross-sell them to other services. And that's where some of these come in. Automated conversations. That's where I talked about my high-level app that I sell as a lead management app to my tree care contractors. It's all done in high level. So I call it automated conversations, missed call text back, automated text replies, chat bots, things like that. That is all, again, built into an app that I sell to my tree care contractors. YouTube ads. In addition to video SEO, if you're doing video stuff, YouTube ads is great. YouTube ads is easy to, it's not hard to learn, very inexpensive. You can get a lot of really good exposure with that. And in remarketing, retargeting, that's something that most local businesses are not doing. And that's something that is incredibly easy to manage. And it's really not hard to set up either. So remarketing is what I do because it's all in the Google ecosystem. Retargeting is what they call it on Facebook. I don't do any Facebook marketing. I probably should, but I don't. I stick to just strictly Google and YouTube. So when it comes to ads. So remarketing and retargeting is something incredibly easy to do. It's highly valuable to business owners if they understand. If a lot of them need to be educated on it, but you can show a real return on investment with that. And it's very easy to manage, to set up and manage. Email marketing. It's something most local businesses don't do at all. I know if you know how to do email, and it's not that difficult. So email marketing and doing like a monthly newsletter, that kind of stuff is something else. Direct mail. Again, direct mail is something that most people just discredit because we think you always have to do everything online now. That's not true. Direct mail is probably more valuable now than it was 10 years ago because everybody is so accustomed to everything being in the digital space. So direct mail is something else that is very, very effective. And I can attest to that firsthand. But being able to develop and set up and manage direct mail campaigns for clients is also something else that can be monetized, and you can usually show a very good return on investment. So these were just some examples here, guys, of different services that can be offered. For what local SEO services to offer. So anyway, I'll get off the soapbox for a minute. Next week we'll cover the next part of this, which would be kind of pricing strategies and stuff like that. But hopefully that was helpful. So
good stuff, man.
Thank you. You guys want to add to that at all? Anybody?
I'm good.
Okay. I think Carson Crane is first. I don't remember if I answered this a couple of weeks ago or not. I know I recently had a call with Carson, so thank you for that, Carson. I'm going to answer this even if it was answered a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, he says, hey, Bradley, happy hump day. I have an agency that focuses on B2B clients. Do you think a service like semanticlinks.io, which is my link building business, or even YACSS would be backlinking? That would be effective for B2B SEO. Also, would the video lead gen system be useful for this type of environment? Cheers. Yeah, and that's what I was saying before. Look, link building is link building. It's interesting, but there's two types of link for local SEO. There's two types of links, relevance, two types of relevance factors that matter for local SEO. There's topical relevance, which matters for organic SEO, period, whether it's local, national, global SEO. Topical relevance matters. But for local SEO, there's also local or geographic relevance that matters. And if you can get both topical relevance plus geographic relevance in backlinks, then that is like the perfect combination. That's a 1-2 punch that just works really, really well. Somewhat difficult to do. My link building business is all about the topical relevant links, building links that are topically relevant from not just topically relevant pages, but topically relevant source domains, which is a big, big difference. So yeah, link building is link building. When it comes to organic ranking, as long as you have topically relevant links, or and you know you're building links from good sources, which again I focus 100% on topical relevance, it's going to work. So that's kind of what I teach in the mastermind, but also my link building business is entirely built around that concept, that philosophy. Okay. Would the video lead gen system be useful in this type of environment? Yes. In fact, the video lead gen system, I've only ever done it in B2B. I've never done it on a consumer level, like business to consumer. Because I don't sell services or products or widgets or whatever wares. I don't sell any of that shit to consumers. I just focus on selling SEO services to tree care contractors. And now I sell link building services to local SEO agency owners and local SEO consultants. So those are my two businesses, and they're both B2B. And video email is how I do my outbound prospecting, and also how I generally communicate with clients. Or once I get a reply back, I do a ton of video emails. Even my link building clients, I send videos all the time. Because it's just easier, it's more efficient. I can convey a lot of information very quickly, and it works really, really well. And that's what I'm talking about with the video lead gen system. Is an older kind of version of that. I've been using video emails, guys, since like 2013 or so. And so like almost 10 years. And I've streamlined it, made it more efficient. And that's what I'm going to be developing an SOP specifically around that I hope to have done within the next month. That's the final SOP in the series of SOPs that I've been building for the directory authority and positioning. Okay, that's a good question. Helpful person says, hey guys, question for Bradley, looking to scale up my SEO and get a freelancer to help me take care of the frustrating and boring tasks of link building outreach, which I've been doing myself with Mailshake and Google Workspace on my own agency domain. How do you go about hiring a good link builder and not potentially ruin your domain reputation? Well, number one, set up a cold email. Buy domains with the same branding, but different extensions, and go with top level extensions, or get branded domains that are, it might not be the exact same branding, but something close, like Git, put Git before your brand name, or Go, or something like that. So what I mean is just append or prepend that to it, or append something to your brand name. But you want to stick with, for cold emailing, you want to stick with top level domains like .coms, .nets, .orgs, or top level country domains specific to your country. Like in the US domains work well for cold emailing. But you do not want to go with those kind of non-traditional domain extensions. Trust me, because I like to use non-traditional domain extensions for site builds, like .pro, .services, .care, .realty. I've used all of those and been able to rank those sites, no problem whatsoever. But those types of domain extensions are a spam signal for email service providers. In other words, they don't inbox as well. They can trip spam triggers or filters much, much easier because they're non-traditional domain extensions. So for cold emailing, you want to set up other domains that you redirect the domain to your agency domain, but you're doing all of your cold emailing and outreach through those domains, through those email addresses that are built on those cold sending domains. That way you protect your domain reputation of your agency for, and so that transactional emails and things like that. So meaning when you're replying to clients and things like that, those will still inbox. You don't want to burn that domain, because once you burn that domain, now you've got to rebrand everything or get a whole new domain for your agency to be able to send transactional emails, because they won't inbox, if that makes sense. So again, use something similar, the same brand if you can. If you have a .com, get the .net, .org, .us. Now you've got 3 additional domains that you can, or again, change it slightly, but you can redirect all 3 of those domains to your main domain. But now you can set up separate email accounts for each one of those domains. And now you've got several that you can do your cold emailing from. So that's how you protect your primary domain from any potential issues from cold emailing, right? So that's number one. How do you go about hiring a good link builder? Have a good screening process in place. We have a program called Outsource Kingpin that talks about setting up hiring funnels so that you can basically eliminate all the noise, all the junk that you get whenever you post a job somewhere to ask freelancers to bid and that kind of stuff. You put people on a hiring funnel, you put them through a sequence of usually a two stages where you instruct them to do things. You give them full instructions, and all you want to do is make sure that they can follow instructions. And then if they make it through 2 stages of the hiring funnel, that proves that they can follow instructions according to the instructions you've given. And then it's about interviewing them and selecting a virtual assistant or a candidate that communicates well. In my opinion, that's one of the most important things. The most important thing is, can they follow instructions? But a very close second to that is, can they communicate well with me? I don't care if it's spoken English, because I mean, Hazel, my executive assistant, she's been working for me for, 7 years. She's a freaking rock star. She's amazing. She's in the Philippines. We have never spoken on a Zoom call or a phone call ever. It's always 100% been, for 7 years now, it's been text-based chat. She can communicate incredibly well. So that's very, very important. So again, Outsource Kingpin, if you're a mastermind member, you get that as part of your membership. If not, you can buy that as a separate product. I would encourage you to do that. But it's really important when you're hiring somebody to do that, is to screen them properly, make sure they can follow instructions and communicate well, and then provide them with SOPs, standard operating procedures, for exactly what it is that you want them to do and how to do it, but also why. Like, and it's really important in my SOPs. I don't just teach people, like I used to a long time ago, just develop SOPs. I'm like, here's what to do, but I gave no context or no background as to, or explanation as to why they're doing it. And that's, in my opinion, not the best way to build a team. You want your team members to feel like they're a part of the team and understand what it is that they're doing, because they can oftentimes improve the process, since it's going to be them that are going to be repeating that process over and over and over again. So having an SOP is critically important, but I like to educate people in my subordinates, my team members, on not only what to do, but why we're doing it, so that they can develop critical thinking skills around that task, and they can help to troubleshoot issues or find ways to make it more efficient. They can be on the lookout for apps or services or software or things like that that can help them to be more efficient and to produce better results and those kind of things. So again, standard operating procedures, guys. If you use Flowster right here, guys, click right here and go sign up for a free account at Flowster if you haven't already, and start using Flowster. Start developing SOPs, inviting your subordinates, and all of your training should be in that kind of a format. Okay, because that's how you maintain control over what and consistency in your deliverables, or if you have standard operating procedures and they're following them properly, then you know that your deliverables are going to be consistent quality. Does that make sense? So when you just wing it all the time, like I know most people in our space do, they know it all up here, but trust me, there comes a point in time where like you think you know it all, but you still, you maybe not intentionally, but you still take shortcuts, you still miss steps. So even just having a high level checklist of like, here's the major things that need to be completed for this particular task, even that's a start there. Start just developing checklists, right? Because then you're not going to miss anything. You can walk away from it and come back at a later time. You can pick right back up where you left off, instead of thinking like, oh no, I know everything that I have to do up here. And then you end up having your quality sucks, right? You have no consistent results anywhere because everything that you do is different. It's done differently. So again, developing SOPs is incredibly important, right? It's a franchise model. McDonald's sells a system. You know what I mean? They sell a system for assembly line of hamburgers and everything else, if that makes sense. That's what you want to do with your own business, is kind of build systems out of it. Hopefully that makes sense. Maybe want to be paranoid, but let's see, maybe just been paranoid, but want to get it right. Any feedback based on your experience is really appreciated. And by the way, you know, outreach and that stuff still works. Absolutely. But what I would recommend is when you're reaching out to try to get links, again, if you're doing local outreach from other local businesses in the same kind of general area, to get links from them, topical relevance is not nearly as important, because it's the geographic relevance of those links that is super important for local ranking. But if you're going to be doing kind of outreach just to get links that aren't specifically from other local businesses in your area, then you got to not just try to get link in an article that's relevant. You want to look at the domain, the source domain. Like, in other words, if you reach out to a business that's, you know, let's just say you're in Florida and you reach out to a business in New York State because you found an article that's relevant to your business and you want to get a link placed in that article to point to your business, right? Because you're not competing, you're in two completely different areas, but it's a relevant article. But before reaching out to them, you should do a quick search or analysis of the overall topical relevance of that site, not just the article, but of the entire site, the domain itself. What is the topical relevance? And if it's not a match, if it's only a match, if it's a partial match because the page is relevant, but the source domain isn't relevant, you're not going to get much benefit from that link. If it's a full match, 100% match because the page is relevant, but then the source domain is also topically relevant or a closely related category, then you're going to get a much bigger push from that link than if you just get a link in a topically relevant article, but the source domain is not relevant. And again, throw that out the window if you can get a link from a other local business. As far as local ranking, maps ranking, that's incredibly valuable, even if it's not topically relevant, as long as it's locally relevant. So there's really two things that you're kind of doing at the same time when it comes to local link building. How do I know this? Well, because I've been perfecting this for months now with my semantic link service. And I've got an incredible amount of data because of how many locations I manage now. And I see it time and time again. It continues to evolve. I continue to get better at link building for locals because of the amount of data that I have access to. And I'm seeing this time and again. So again, outreach still works. There's no question, but I always recommend digging into the topical analysis side of things a lot. That's where I'm seeing the biggest gains from links right now, is about topical relevance. Okay. That was a good question. Grateful Creation says, is there anything we can do with QR codes to help our content and link building or citation efforts? Yeah, I use QR codes in my images now as my image overlay. Instead of doing, in the past, I would do like text overlay, and I would set the transparency up real high to where it was barely visible, if visible at all, by the human eye. But the bot can read that. The Google bot image can read that text. So we would overlay like NAP, name, address, and phone number, and a link back to, you know, the website or Google Business Map or Google Business website or something like that. So as text overlay on top of the image, and then always a logo too. But where I've kind of stopped doing that now, and I just now create QR codes and and I have a QR code generator that I use that actually puts the logo in the middle of the QR code. So it does both. So all I do now is just use QR codes. I stopped doing the text overlay and just embed or overlay a QR code on top of the images, because Google reads it. I don't care about a visitor scanning that QR code with their phone on the image. That's not what it's for. It's for SEO. And it's for the Google bot. It reads that code and it knows what that QR code is linked to. So what I like to do is switch it up to where, like, if I'm doing Google business posts, for example, or even photos on the website, is to overlay or, superimpose a QR code that links to different points, different entity assets. So primarily the Google business website, the money site or various pages of the money site, and also the Google map, but various versions of the map URL. So the CID map URL or the share URL, even the share URL. It's because the Google bot reads the image and the bot crawls the link of that QR code is linked to back to the source. And again, it's a way to just kind of strengthen the entity a bit. You know, that's a pretty important thing. And I think there's a lot of opportunity in image optimization right now. There's actually a really good, I just posted this in the mastermind. Let me see if I can pause the screen for 1 minute. I'm going to pull this up, guys. And this was I posted this in the mastermind. Daryl Ledyard from Mass Page Tools. He did a webinar. I think it was just yesterday. I picked it up. I'm going to grab the YouTube URL for this, guys. This is not a promotion. I don't have an affiliate link for this. I just thought this was really ingenious. I watched this webinar yesterday as he was, it was probably the replay that I watched. Hold on. I just pulled it up. All right. Someone dropped this link in chat or in chat, but it's called Imagefly. Daryl Ledyard from Mass Page Tools. Check this out. I mean, what he's built into this for image optimization and SEO, image SEO, dynamic images is freaking amazing. It really is. And right now it's like, he's got a kind of like an early adopter pricing structure. So anyways, this is Imagefly. And I think it's really promising. I picked it up yesterday, subscribed to it on like the founding, whatever. Sorry, you need to be registered. Hey, Adam, if you're available, can you post this? If I send it to you in Slack.
Should they?
Actually, I'm going to put it in chat here in Zoom chat because it's just easier for me to get to.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, guys, I would encourage you guys to check this out. Put it on high speed if you want. It's an hour. At the very end is where the coupon code is, or the link to subscribe. But check out what he's built into this, and it's still in development. So I think there's a massive potential in image SEO stuff that we can do with a app like this. So check it out. It's a good question too. I'm sorry, guys, I'm running out of time. I know I took too much time, so let me keep moving. Nice stranger. I forgot that people aren't registering anymore, so you can't see their actual names. It's kind of weird. Are there any VPNs you recommend so we can be local in all markets? Gracias. No, but what I would recommend is just using mobile IPs. VPNs, they're commercial proxies, and so that can actually cause a lot of problems. I mean, there might be VPNs that use residential proxies or mobile proxies, but they're probably super expensive. I would recommend just getting mobile 4G proxies and setting up kind of like your own system if possible. And again, you could use, like Foxy proxy and Firefox, for example, and just have your own, couple of mobile IPs. Like I've got a mobile IP provider that I use now specifically for my CTR stuff, manipulation stuff. And so I have my own dedicated SIM card and my own bandwidth. It's 100% dedicated. It's freaking expensive, but I do a lot of CTR stuff and it's fabulous. It's incredibly fast. It's great. And mobile IPs is much better than a VPN because VPN, like I said, and again, I don't use VPN. So there probably are solutions with residential and or mobile proxies as part of the VPN, but most of them I know that are the standard VPNs or commercial proxies. And that can create a lot of issues that in SEO, especially, that I just would avoid. So, local IPs aren't nearly as important because of mobile services, guys. Local IPs are not nearly as important as they used to be like 5 years ago. What's important is like the geolocation of the browser, right? And you can have an IP in Texas and be in Virginia, which I am, and it doesn't matter as long as the browser is geolocated to where you are. It doesn't matter where the IP originates from, if that makes sense. So again, I would recommend looking in the mobile IP stuff because that passes a bunch of smell tests, so to speak, because it's hard, at least right now, mobile IPs are not being flagged like commercial proxies are. So I would recommend looking into that. What type of redirects pass link equity? 301 redirects and meta refreshes with the timer set to 0. So the time delay in a meta refresh is 0. So the value equals 0 in a meta refresh. That's 100% passes link equity. There's a little bit of loss, but there's always a little bit of loss on any sort of a redirect. But a 301 redirect passes link equity, and a meta refresh with the time delay set to 0. I'm a noob in SEO, just trying to learn and rank my own local business. Is it still safe to send GSA links to your GMB silo posts? I wouldn't do it. I stopped doing that a long time ago. I don't use bulk spam links at all anymore. I don't recommend it. I know other people still use it and other people still swear by it. By all means, do whatever you feel is right. I don't do it. I only use topically relevant links now, period. End of story. I don't use bulk spam links. I don't use junk links. I don't use cheap links. I go out and hunt down my own domain source, my own source domains that are in the appropriate topical category that I need them to be in. The content was either in the same category or a closely related category as what I need it for now. And that's what I build. Again, I focus 100% on topical relevance. And that's what matters. So I don't recommend it. You can do it. I'm not going to speak whether it still works or not. I'm sure there are people out there that are still using bulk spam that still get results. I'm not going to suggest that, nor can I, suggest it or recommend it. There's other things that you could potentially do if you want to continue using that kind of stuff. I don't recommend it. I don't, it's not what I do for my own link building, for my own clients, my own lead gen assets, and also for my link building clients. I focus 100% on topically relevant links, not just from topically relevant pages, but the source domains in their entirety are topically relevant. And that's working really, really well. So that's what I would recommend. And to embed it on cloud sites and blast it with GSA. Now, see, if I was going to do any kind of bulk spam stuff, that's what I would do. I would not hit a Google Business website with bulk spam. I would embed the Google Business website or the posts or both into something like a cloud page or a G site, a Google site, not a branded one though, because I don't want to spam any of my branded assets, but a supplementary or secondary Google site or cloud sites or blogger still underutilized in my opinion. I would have another blogger, not a branded blogger. I don't like to spam any branded assets at all, but use secondary G sites, cloud sites, or bloggers, and then embed that Google Business stuff into that and then spam away. If I was going to spam, that's how I would do it, but I don't spam anymore. I mean, I still spam, all SEO spam, but I don't use bulk spam links. That's what I mean. And that was Nigel. What's up, Nigel? Next one is, I have a keyword question. We do know that keywords have intentions and we should choose wisely when we chose those that will help our local SEO. So as a first stage, I use Keyword Planner to get keyword ideas. I would recommend you use Google Trends as your starting point, guys. I just did a 20-minute video yesterday for one of our mastermind members. I just jumped on a screencast and did a 20-minute keyword research video specifically using Google Trends. So I recommend starting with that and then going with what you extract from there over to the Keyword Planner, Google Ads Keyword Planner. He says, from keyword list or the competitor's website, I can get any number of 5 to 5,000 keywords. How I can filter out quickly keywords that don't have local intent, like how much something costs. Would never bring local pack on the first page of Google because most of the results will be e-commerce and FAQs. Well, most of the time, in order for a keyword to produce a maps pack, it's going to have local intent. Lloyd has a Lloyd Farrell from Mass Optimizer. He has a tool that does that. You can plug keywords in, and it will you can plug a list of keywords in, and it will show you the keywords that pop a map pack. And it's a paid tool that has a monthly expense. I forget what it's called, but Lloyd Farrell from Mass Optimizer, the same developer of Mass Optimizer, he has a tool that does that. Another one that would probably be fairly good would be SEMrush's keyword magic tool, shows intent. I don't know exactly how accurate that is. I use SEMrush, but not that much. But they do show intent: commercial, informational, transactional intent. So there's 3 different types of intent signals that or tags that they'll assign to keywords. That also might be something valuable. But generally, keywords that have location modifiers or near me, which is a location modifier, variants of near me, those are going to pop local maps. Yeah, I would check in. There's got to be some other apps out there other than what I just mentioned that do that. A lot of times it's just common sense, but if you're trying to filter a list of 5,000 keywords, I get it. That's going to be cumbersome. Okay, going to keep moving. We only got a few more minutes. Next one is, hi guys, a few weeks ago, and sorry, by the way, if I don't, just go, let's see if I can find that real quick. Mass Optimizer. Let's see if that's listed on his 3-pack hunter. That's what it's called right there. So massoptimizer.com 3-pack hunter. This is the tool that you just submit a CSV file. It's $18 a month. And you put your keyword file into the software, and it opens up a browser, and just one by one will go through the keywords that are in that CSV file or text file, however it is you submit it. I believe it's a CSV file. It looks like it is. I'm pretty sure it is, because Mass Optimizer for Pro for images uses CSV files. Anyways, you just load up a list of keywords, you import it in, or import it into the software, and then let it run. And it just opens up a browser one by one and just does a search. And if it pops a local map pack, then it flags that keyword as producing a map pack. So that might be a tool that you want to check out. Mass Optimizer Pro, or excuse me, massoptimizer.com. And it's called the 3-pack hunter. All right. Okay. Hi guys. A few weeks ago, I bought an expired domain. Oh, looks like, no, we're not quite almost done. Sorry. A few weeks ago, I bought an expired domain and built a page with a link to my money site. I did not use any indexing service. Now in Google, if I type site domain, the expired domain is indexed with my new meta title and description, but inside Search Console for my money site, it is still not listed as a referring domain. And in Majestic, it's not showing up either. Majestic says it just crawled the money site 2 days ago. Any idea what's going on here? No, I'm not real sure. If you built the page or the site, check the robots.index, or excuse me, robots.txt file, make sure that the MJ12 bot is not blocked. The MJ12 bot is the Majestic bot, and it can crawl a site, but if it's blocked, well, if it says that it crawled, it should still pick up that link. So no, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to actually analyze that to be able to give you an answer. I've not seen that firsthand, so I'd have to actually dig into that. If you're in the mastermind, I'm happy to look at it for you. Otherwise, I can't really help you here without more detail. I'd have to actually analyze it to try to troubleshoot and figure out where the problem is, unfortunately. He says, I have a local business website ranking number 5 organically, but I'm number 11 in maps. What is the quickest way to boost maps ranking safely? Map signals, user engagement signals is the quickest way. Is there a product or service you can recommend? Well, funny you should ask. We do have something that I would recommend, but it's only in beta right now and only available. It's only supposed to be available for mastermind members. But it's engagement signals, Google Maps engagement signals. That's the quickest way to move a needle. You can get away with doing CTR manipulation tools. There's a number of them out there. Just pick one. But yeah, specifically maps engagement signals would help that to move fairly quickly. Okay. Getting reviews, that will help. Also, asking questions. If you can get customers or potential customers, or if you can spoof that, where you're asked questions through the GMB profile, as long as the business is, or whoever's managing the GMB or the Google business profile is answering those questions. If you have the questions featured enable or the messaging featured enable on a Google business profile, and you don't reply to posted questions or people that are messaging through Google business, that's a negative ranking signal. Non-responsive or unresponsive businesses is a negative ranking signal. But if you reply to questions, answer questions, or reply to messages through Google Business, then that is a positive ranking signal. That's another way to move it fairly quickly. We're almost out of time. Hey guys, if we build relevant articles with Jasper and put our NAP, will it help to boost our local rankings? Yeah, it's a citation. It might not be a structured citation, but it's still a citation. So yes, that will help. Okay, next one. Has been a supporter of all your products, Bradley, for a long time. Love your hustling, and it keeps me motivated. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I have a client with 4 locations. Can I use a link rotator on press releases? You can. Oh, yeah, because if it's the same brand, yeah, you could. The only thing is, generally with a press release, you're going to have NAP, name, address, and phone number. I guess you can omit that. It doesn't always have to have that. So if you did just a branded press release where you omitted name, address, and phone number in a Google map, obviously, you would want to omit that as well. Then you could do just a branded press release and use a link rotator. Yes, that would work. Then you could do the same thing with any sort of link building, period. You could use a link rotator. But remember, the link rotator only is going to rotate links when somebody clicks on it. It's just going to change the destination based on some random or set intervals. Does that make sense? So it doesn't help. Although I don't know if bots crawling changes. I don't know. That's an interesting thing. I'd have to test that. But generally the link is only like for a visitor, like it's only going to be valuable for a visitor to click through, and then it, you know, changes the destination. I guess it would change for the bots too. I'd have to test that. I've not actually tested that. But yeah, but generally, like I said, with a press release, you're usually going to have the NAP and a map, oftentimes a map embed too. So you'd have to omit all of that for it to work. Good. We're almost done. Sorry, I'm going to go just over a minute or two. I'm not going to stop with these last couple here. So hi, Bradley. Yes, local video ranking on Google is so easy if done right. Simplest video SEO is the easiest there if ranking videos. I agree. I got away from doing local or video SEO for a long time. And just recently, like within the last 2 weeks, I just started testing with that again because of the whole Google business profile. Like it's almost impossible to verify Google business profiles anymore. And I want to continue teaching lead gen, local lead gen, because that's a big part of my business too. And the fact that we're unable to register and verify Google business profiles now without a valid business location has really put a hurting on my own business, but also our members and our students. So I'm working on developing ways to still generate leads for local businesses without requiring or relying on a Google business profile. The whole point is if you can build assets that rank organically and generate leads, you can always back into a Google business profile by rank and rent or selling leads, and then ultimately upselling your lead buyers on Google business SEO services. Or so again, it's kind of a backdoor way to still do Google business SEO, but not requiring to build your own assets. So yeah, and a more recent, I've been testing with LiveRank Sniper, which is Peter Drew's product. And that's fantastic for figuring out, and it always has been, but I got away from it for years. And just in the last week, I started using it again and finding that, yeah, video SEO is still a very valid strategy. It's just something I got away from doing because I just stuck with YouTube ads for a long time. But now I'm kind of incorporating that back into my procedures. More will come as I continue developing that out a bit more. And hey, Dr. Leon, what's up, man? I like YouTube secondary channels as well. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And yeah, we should reconnect. Some reason we kind of stopped communication with you guys over there at the factory. Anyway, all right, guys, we're a little bit over. Sorry about that. Thanks everybody for being here. We hope this was helpful.